Hey girl, hey.
Hey.
We are here with Miss AJ. So Miss AJ, before we get into all of the magic, like how are you feeling today?
I'm looking forward to the weekend. So I'm feeling pretty good. Tourist season is about to be upon us. Aries season. I'm always happy for it because of what it brings, the energy it brings, but I'm ready for a pacing. I'm ready to slow down a little bit. So I feel good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to also have a moment to catch our breath. So for the people who are just meeting you for the first time right now here on See the Girls, how would you describe who you are and the work that you do?
So I'm a holistic spiritual wellness and sound practitioner. What that pretty much means is I like to say I'm a spiritual therapist. So I combine, I think with the world, it's a good idea for everybody to tap in. I'm a big fan of therapy, but to tap into therapy, but also tap into the spiritual aspect of ourselves, our lives. I like to call it, my higher self, my Holy Ghost. And I am a person who helps clients connect to that part of themselves, align what's happening in your spiritual life so that you can see the manifestation as the highest possibility in your more tangible life. So I kind of bring, the spirit to the physical and guide clients through that through a lot of different modalities, sound being one of them, advising and guiding being one. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay. Okay. Now, have your gifts always been with you or did they unfold over time and later?
Well, yes and yes. They have always been with me, but the level of where they're at right now has come through my own spiritual awakening and my process. I tell people all the time, I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up foundationally within Christianity. And as I experienced what I like to call my own dark night of the soul, and my own personal spiritual awakening, I branched out of that. That's always my root. But I've branched out of that to a more personal depth of spirituality. So through that evolvement, my gifts evolved with me. I was prophesied over as a kid that I was going to be a preacher, and that was never the thing I wanted to do, considering I grew up in it. So it's funny because I end up kind of doing it anyway in a much more expansive way. So the gifts of me being what I like to call clairaudient and clarisense, my interest in astrology, the expansion of the universe has always been a curiosity to me. I've always been a truth seeker and very curious since I was a child. But sometimes those gifts, based upon how your formative years are, can be tempered. So as I grew older and through several different, I like to call diamond creating pressure moments, those gifts propelled in a very big way, which got so loud that I had to really pay attention to it and act on it.
Mhm. Okay. There's a lot of collective heaviness right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can people protect their energy without checking out of reality?
Well, actually, kind of check out a reality. On a real perspective, I have been a fan. I tell people all the time that I live in Delulu land. It is a place of peace for me. And when I mean delusion or Delulu land, it is the ability that you have to create your own reality. Now, it's not dismissing what's happening in the world. The world is very heavy right now. And that's a whole nother podcast on why it's heavy, what's coming with that and all of that. But what you can do to manage, I think, is connected to yourself, right? Because within you, within your own world, you have to think about it. There's 7 billion plus people on this world, and each person is kind of living within their own world, right? So there's a lot of things that may be happening in your world that's not affecting me, and vice versa. So the thing that you have to do is connect to your present, right? Be very mindful. Mindful practices are very good during times like this, which can include meditation. There's several different forms of meditation. You don't just have to sit with your eyes closed on a meditation pillow. There is walking meditation, several different types. So I would advise people to find the thing that connects to them the most. Breath work is very, very powerful. Being able to connect with regulating our nervous systems. Because what's happening now, we're in a very high technology era of humanity, along with a lot of different energies. There's a lot of patriarchy that is rising up, and it is also being challenged. So all of that kind of energy that is transformational energy can be very tense. So being centered in your moment, in your world. I'm also very big of going to your child like nature, have fun. Like a lot of times the world can be so heavy. We just need to have fun. Like go paint, go to the park, play dodgeball, play kickball, like do things that connect you to just being in that moment so you can give your nervous system, your spirit, and your mind a place of rest while we're going through these changes.
Okay. See, y'all, we gotta talk. Okay. Like, oh my goodness. So, how would you define like healing? Not just physically or emotionally, but like on an energetic and spiritual level, going into.
Great question. Honestly, because as a practitioner, as a healer, I've have had an involvement in my own personal healing and how I even identify as a healer. Understanding as a healer, the biggest thing that you can do, and that's why we all are like everybody is intuitive. Everybody has the ability to be empathic. Some people are more naturally through birth and astrology and placements and things like that attuned to it, but we're all humans that live on a frequency and an energetic perspective. So we all have these abilities if we're, pay attention to hone into them. So everybody has the ability to be a healer, but I do believe that some people are called to that. I'm one of those people, and what I'm understanding as a healer is a big part of it is being just very embodied in the energy, and allowing your own healing allows others the space to heal. I can't actually heal you. My energy can impact you, and I can take you. And sometimes healers, we take on that. Like, I have to be the person that heals you. That's not my job as a healer. My job as a healer is to get you to the path of healing,
Mm.
right? To get you to the modalities, to embody that within myself so you can see the light to do the work yourself. You have to heal, and you have the ability to heal yourself. But if I had to say healing is this, healing
Healing
is
is where.
awareness, because we're humans. And, I personally believe in reincarnation. I feel that we have all entered into experiencing humanity to experience what being flawed is, and having compassion for that. Right. So a lot of times, and even me as a healer and a person on my own healing journey, have had this illusion of let me get to this place like I am healed. No, what I am is very self aware, and that can be defined as healing. So when I'm presented with another toxic pattern or another challenge where I know that in the past, to my own detriment, or I've abandoned myself to sacrifice to others, because I know that about myself, because I've identified and faced that shadow part of myself, I am able to now give myself compassion and not be in a place of, oh my God, why am I facing this again? But be able to say, I am facing this again, and I'm aware of who I am, and I'm aware that I can make a different choice. And that is where a healing is. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we do fall back, but being able to even recognize the failure and continually to evolve and have love and compassion on yourself, and know that you are flawed, but know that you're supposed to be flawed, and embrace that, I think, is the path to healing.
Yeah. Because a lot of times I know, and I've done it, you get stuck in that feeling of whatever it is you're going through, and you won't allow yourself to process it enough to get to the other side of it to even, expound on, what you just gave as advice. Like, you really gotta know yourself.
Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. So what are some signs that someone is out of alignment? Like not like, like pinpointing or diagnosing anything, but what are some things that, maybe, hey, listen, for someone else, for them to recognize and within themselves?
That's a great question. And it's so funny because the questions that you're saying are things that I have just had a whole new level of like insight about. So it's very good timing. Um, Being out of alignment, you feel in your body, which is why practices like meditation, journaling, breath work, even if it feels a little cringe or corny, it is powerful because what you're doing, you get to hear you. You start to understand your voice. You start to understand who is speaking and how your body feels. So when you are in something, you feel it. You literally feel it in your gut. You can feel energy when it comes in the room. You can feel when you're doing something and you're abandoning yourself for the sacrifice of somebody else. You're not honoring your own boundaries. You literally feel it. Think about a time when you were invited to go somewhere and you got the invite and immediately it was like, now I'm not talking about not doing something out of a place of fear because that feels different. That feels like overthinking. Fear will make you overthink and think about all these different scenarios that can happen. But when you feel something in your body that's like that, what was that? And it's not big, it's not loud, it's small whispers, right? That you feel. Those are the things that you have to pay attention to. Things that are totally in alignment for you will feel at ease, will feel calm, will feel joy, which is why the perspective is you don't chase, you attract. Because you can chase a whole bunch of things, but you're only going to attract the things that are in alignment. Now, what I do have to say with this is my little cautionary tale. You will attract where you are aligned, right? So if you are in a place of a scarcity mindset, you are going to attract things that are going to match that frequency, right? Because that is where you're at. That is where your alignment is at. Now, also, the universe, I believe, allows different things to come in to mirror that to you so you can get out of that. Because even when you're in that frequency, it doesn't feel good.
Right.
It feels like survival. It feels like you have to fight. That's not what pure alignment in your highest self and opportunities that are aligned for you. Some of the best opportunities in my life have come from a place of surrender and detaching from what outcomes are. And just being in a place that I want the highest frequency, the highest timeline for me, and show me what that looks like. And those things come to you and they feel good because they're so at ease. Think about one of your best friends and when you guys became friends, it's so at ease. When you feel disaligned in your body, I think is one of the highest signs to know that you're out of alignment.
That includes like getting sick and
Yeah, your body is trying to tell you, like case in point, very perfect example. I am a person because I don't do my makeup all the time. So when I do my makeup, I'm a Sag. I'm just gonna be out here a little cute. Eh, we were doing this today, and I'm like, well, let me be cute for the girls. And in my mind, not my body, in my mind, I'm like, girl, you don't put some makeup on. Let's go outside. Let's do something. But I was outside last night and I'm tired. My body feels like I need to rest. Now, I could be out of alignment because I'm overthinking and like, oh, you got cute makeup on. Let's do this. Like, force myself with my body, to your point, it's telling me, girl, sit down. Now I have a long day tomorrow. I have a full weekend. And if I press myself and then I get sick because I did not listen to what my body was saying, it was saying, girl, I need to rest. So it is very much like you said, what it feels. I will add to that since you talked about health, we, especially for women, and I talk about this a lot, we carry so much. The reason we have sometimes we're holding on to emotional weight or we're having fibroids and things of that nature. Of course, there's a physical context. I am not completely disconnected with the world, that there are not physicals from diet and things like that that can affect us. But emotional weight that we carry can affect stress from not processing our emotions, not releasing a lot of pain. We can hold and it affects our wounds. And for Black women, especially because of the world that we live in and how society historically has treated us, we carry a lot of that in there, which is why a lot of times things like TFT tapping, meditation, breath work, sound. I have worked with people in regards to fibroids with putting sound, like the actual vibration of your sacral chakra bowl to help alleviate fibroids. Now, from a perspective of pain and things like that. So, yeah, that can be in our bodies. And it is misalignment.
yeah, it shows up. It shows up in our body. That's That's wild,
It-
you know? Like, even when you think about all the things that the human body itself is made to do and what it can do, like, just knowing that you need to make sure these outside influences are, because it could throw you off of alignment as well.
Yeah, especially stress. I don't think
Yeah.
people, and I experienced it personally in 2020. And the body allows, we're so adaptable. So a lot of times that's why stress is the silent killer, because your body adrenaline will protect you
Mm.
when you're under immense amount of stress. But when you get out of the stress, a lot of times people have been like, well, I've left a job or I've done this. Why is my body, why am I feeling all of these different, I'm having fibroids, I'm having all these other issues now that I've left the stress? Because what has happened is your body had been in that mode through that whole time. The effect was happening, but adrenaline, and that happens when we're in intense stress, it was causing a protection, where you may not have immediately felt the stress because it was trying to adapt and protect you to get through it. But now that you're out of this stressful situation, now you're seeing what has happened to you during that time. And now we have to course correct. But a lot of times people don't identify stress. I used to be a person that's like that. So not being able to identify stress has also caused a perspective of being like, I just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Because people aren't immediately feeling a perspective of something happening. So then they going. And that is not necessarily something that is healthy, because when we get out of it, sometimes we don't, because the stress takes over and the effect of the body has taken over. So yeah, we have to pay attention to, I like to call it our Sims. I play Sims. So we have to pay attention to our Sims more.
Yes. Look, I need to get into that. A lot of people are good with The Sims, and they have whole scenarios, and it's
Yes,
like
the
this
whole
whole
thing.
scene, like it's a whole world.
Whole world. Whole world.
I'm just with my Legos right now. I need to
That
get
you like.
to The Sims. In your work, like, how do you help someone go from feeling stuck or disconnected to feeling empowered and expanded?
So what I love about astrology is, once again, astrology isn't the end all of all, but I think it is a good cheat sheet into the blueprint of understanding who we are. I think one of the best ways to get unstuck in life, or to feel more empowered in life, is to know who you are. And you would think that you live with yourself all of these years that you would know. And it's like, no, sometimes I've asked clients, well, why did you do that? It could be anything. Or why do you feel that way? And the first answer, I would say at least 70% of the time, is I don't know. And it's like, okay, so you don't know why you do things. And here's the thing, we don't a lot of times, because especially as we become adults, one of my favorite movies is Inside Out 1 and 2, but especially 2. I feel like every adult needs to watch this movie, because it talks about where our self-belief systems are rooted from, right? And as we get older, it's a part of human nature to, much like how it shows in the movie, to dismiss some of these things. Right. So we call it the subconscious. You start running off of your life, really not from a conscious state, but your subconscious is what's in charge, and you don't even know. So
So
one of the best ways to feel empowered is to understand yourself, understand your subconscious, understand where the patterns are running, why they're running. Is this just who I am by nature, or is this something that has been programmed? And when you understand yourself, you have the greatest power, because you are in a connection with your highest source, which is you. And how can you feel empowered when you don't even know who you are? So that's, I think, one of my biggest things that I give as far as my gift and what I do in the work that I do, is allowing people to understand through different modalities who you are. One of my favorite quotes was by Danielle Laporte, like, who are you before the world told you who you were? And the work I do helps with that.
Nice.
I'm not sure if she is the originator of the quote, but she was the originator of where I first read it. Mm. Yeah.
What does soul expression look like in real life? Like,
Soul expansion.
expansion, yes.
Soul expansion. That's such a broad question. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I do think that soul expansion is back connected to you knowing yourself. Now, outside of just knowing who you are on a physical perspective, what your personality is, I think soul expansion, especially connected to astrology, starts talking into purpose, fulfillment, and soul contract. Right? Where were you here to learn, experience, and how to have your soul expanded? And that comes in through relationship with people. People were a relationship type of community, or I don't want to say community, species. And we mirror and learn things through different interpersonal relationships. But for me personally, think that that connects back to past lives, right? So some people call it from a context of ancestors and things like that. We're carrying a frequency. We're, from a Christian perspective, Christ embodied, from, a spiritual perspective, connected directly to source. And if that is true within itself, then the biggest thing that we can do to expand our soul is to experience what our soul came here to experience through our soul contract. And learning what that soul contract is and how it plays out within this lifetime, once again, for me personally, has been through a deepening of understanding my own intuition, psychic ability, of being able to connect to my higher self, right? My higher self is just my spirit self. And it telling me and me being connected to it, kind of like an oracle as the vehicle to get it to expand and experience what it does. Astrology speaks a lot to that. And so understanding that for me has been what soul expansion has been for me personally, and what I feel like it is, in this era of humanity right now.
How can we strengthen our own intuitive voice and begin trusting it more deeply, like going into the oracle wisdom?
So, what I love about really expanding outside of Christianity and understanding what tarot really is, even people talk about crystal balls and things like that. And it's so interesting the misinformation that's given in regards to that, even what's taught. But once I got into it, tarot, oracle cards, crystal balls, and things like that are just tangible tools. I like to use it in reference to like the Bible. The Bible is a guide, it's a tool. But even in the Bible, it talks about no God for yourself, right? To have a relationship directly with God. And tarot is the same thing. It is a way for you to focus your intuition. Oracle cards, all of these tools are just means of a tangible thing we can touch to give us a focus. When people look at crystal balls, they don't actually see visions in the ball. They see the vision in their mind. The ball is just a focal point of focus, like meditation. So if you're trying to enhance your own intuition, first know that you are embodied, you are God yourself, right? So you have the same ability to manifest, speak things into existence, have a connection. But the thing that we don't do is practice. And meditation is, I just told this to a workshop that I was doing. Meditation is practice. It's not something you check off. Like you don't ever get to the point where you don't meditate anymore. Meditation is just hearing from God or your higher self. Prayer is when you're speaking or being, putting in a request in a context to yourself or God, the universe. So you have to have a practice of connecting with yourself, right? You have to have a practice of connecting with your psychic abilities, which is just the context of connecting to your own self, your own intuition, knowing what your voice sounds like, right? Knowing who you are. And there's so many things that distract us. And I am not a person, I am very big on living in polarity. So I do believe that you can enjoy what it means to be human, from the pleasures of life, from cocktails to turnips. But I also believe it's about a balance of also connecting and having a very strong spiritual life. It's about the balance of both the yin and the yang. And sometimes we go too hard with disconnecting and not allowing us time to sit with ourselves, to hear yourself, to be with you. And that's where you find your intuition, in the silence, in the stillness and having a ritual of, for me, my personal ritual is I do AM pages where I do my gratitude, I do my intentions for the day. I always close with what I say every time I'm in my highest, most, beneficial, most aligned timeline. I do sambos in the morning for me. I do meditation. And I'm human, so sometimes I fall off, but I feel it. Feel it because if I don't do it, I can feel where I get indecisive or I'm not hearing myself. Those things help you hear with yourself. Tools like tarot, oracle cards, and things like that is also a good way of you expanding and understanding what type of intuition leans best for you. Like I stated, I'm clairaudient, which means I hear audible messages. Clarisense, so I get spiritual chills at the top of my head that confirms things, or I can tell when energy is off based upon that. Some people have sight. I'm not as strong in that. It has happened time to time, but typically people have one that's very high. Some people are clairvoyant in the sense of just knowing. I have no idea. I have no tangible reason or explaining scientific reason why I know what I know. It's just I have the gift of knowing. So I think when you take your time, start with just getting used to connecting to yourself, then you can start into the second step of what other type of intuitive gifts I may have. But the very first step is you can't get to that step without being able to just be and hear you.
So, spiritual animal
Okay.
or energy you are channeling.
Okay, cool. So they're actually both. I just recently identified kind of spirit guide instead of spirit animal that I am the oracle for. It's called the Muse. That's its name. So that's who I am channeling right now. So when I write, and I know I can tell the difference when it's me versus I'm channeling the Muse, because I will write something or I'll share something with somebody and I'm like, I didn't know that. I'm not that smart. So it got to be somebody else. So that is the Muse. Hey, girl.
Love that. Okay. So, go to crystal.
Those crystal at the moment are two because they're right by my bed, right up under my lamp is my rose quartz and my amethyst. So I always want to keep just good love around me and love that is not meant or aligned for me away. And my amethyst always keeps my psychic energy on point. So those are my two go-to.
Love those. What's the last thing that made you laugh out loud?
My very good friend made one of the Barbie baddie, like Barbie AI things, and she's such a like CEO professional, and it came out like it made her look like a thug, like a like sexy red's best friend. And all night, I was just when we had drinks, it was our friend anniversary, and I died when she showed it to me because it's so I don't want to say anti who she is. It's kind of her inner part. She's an inner thug. So all night we were having drinks. I kept saying bow, bow, bow.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard I cried.
You touched a little bit on your morning ritual. What is part of that ritual that you will never skip?
I never skip my AM pages. I typically do, and I guess meditation. Sometimes I may not have time to sit in meditation, but I always do meditation in the shower. Like I will just stand under the water for at least 5 minutes without even starting to like wash up, just to kind of center my mind. So that and my AM pages are my thing. Even if I'm writing something real quick, I have to set my day. Like today is gonna be amazing. One of my things I always say is I will experience some type of blessing or miracle today. And it could be big, and it's happened. It's been big, it's been small. Somebody bought me a drink at the other day. That was a miracle. That was a blessing. I've also had like, hundreds of dollars just show up out of nowhere. So those, I'm always on the lookout for a blessing or a miracle.
Okay. What is a song that instantly shifts your energy?
Oh, it's so many. That's a good one. I'm such a music head. I think it just depends on where I'm at right now. So there are two right now. One of my uh ones is we talked about expanding is I'm expanding is by Jamela. And I probably put also a close second to that would be Jill Scott. One is Magic Number because that is where I am at right now. And just because I'm a Drake fan, give me a hug, give me a hug. And
No, that's right. Okay. We don't care what they say. He got
right, I stand right.
give me one word that describes your current season of
Expansion. I am expanding. In all areas, and that is beautiful. It's exciting. It's also scary as fuck because I'm being stretched, and I'm excited to see the level that I'm stretching to. So expanding.
where do you see the evolution of spiritual healing going in like the next 5 to 10 years?
It's on a blow up, and it's on a more authentic blow up because right now it's kind of on trend, and that's cool, and I appreciate that. But with the planets, kind of Pluto moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius, we just had Neptune move out of Pisces into Aries. It is very rebel, healing, initiation. So it is the renaissance of the artists, of the activists, of the spiritual warriors, the teachers that are really here to impact community. People like me. It's almost like Mariah Carey. It's like it's our time. I think over the next, you're definitely going to see a shift over the next 20 years of spirituality. And oddly enough, spirituality also blending into technology. So, yep.
Okay. Now, how do you stay grounded while holding space for others in such a deep level?
Yeah, so I'm big on, especially being an empath. There's a book that I read that first when I first started really understanding that. It's called The Empath Experience. Anybody who's an empath, I think it's such a dope book to kind of read on the practices of how to protect your energy. One of the things that I believe you have to be in alignment, right? Everybody's not here to do this level of work. We all have our own individual gifts and we need to play that role. I think I have the ability to do it because I'm called to do it. So I have the space for it. I have a heart for it. It's like a person being a nurse just for the money versus a person being a nurse because they have a heart for it. You can tell the difference. Like that's number one. I have a heart for it. I'm called for it. So I think the universe gives me extra energy and space in that area for that. I am also very big of what we just talked about earlier, honoring my body. Right now, I've been out energetically in the street a lot with friends and giving energy and doing a lot of work and things like that. I'm going to sit down tonight. I'm going to do an Epsom salt soak on my feet. I need magnesium, do a sage. I like sage in my shower, let it steam up, clear my energy. Anytime I do a workshop, reading, anytime I do Sunday communion, I always decompress with people who are safe for me, which is a very small group. And then because I'm a water sign, water is always very cleansing. And then I have to, on a regular basis, get to nature. So I've been doing a lot of work from January to April, which have been amazing. And I've been doing my regular practices in between, but now I need to get completely to nature.
Mhm.
So I go to a cabin called the Postcard Cabins that's in the middle of the woods. And it's literally just me and nobody. It's not another cabin for like at least 1,000 feet.
And where's this?
Say it again. This is actually if it's 90 minutes outside of Detroit, right past Lampere. They're called Postcard Cabins. If you put this up, like go to my website, I have a code. You can get $25 off your first day. But I love it. It's so quiet. It is so me just being able to connect with nature, put my feet in the ground, get very quiet helps me to do that. My last thing I do, I don't give out my cup. I even teach my clients that I give from my overflow.
Mm.
That's why I stay doing the things to keep my cup full. My cup is for me. I don't give out of my cup. Y'all got the overflow. And I think that's what a lot of people should do. Your cup is for you. When your cup is empty and you're giving from an empty cup, you're not doing them no service or yourself service. So I'm very big on keeping my cup full so I can always be in service.
Yeah. And in order to keep your cup full, you gotta know yourself, know your
Yeah.
boundaries, know
Like
your
today,
limitations.
girl, sit
Yeah.
your girl self down, go drink some tea today.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Cognac tomorrow.
Okay. So tell us some more about Sunday communion.
Sunday communion it's the muses. It's not mine because I was not trying to do events. But it is a holistic wellness event for women. And it is such a beautiful community that we are growing. It is something that was not on my bingo card, and I love what's happening. So, we talk about the four perspectives of holistic wellness, from your body to your emotion to your spirit to your mind. We kicked off the year with doing some manifestation intentions. Our last session in April, we did Ignite Your Body, where we talked about using herbs to help balance ourselves, and also herbs from a spiritual connection. Our next session is July 6th. And then, tickets go on sale about 3 weeks before we typically sell out. So I'm not going to say typically, we always sell out. So it's a good time. We'll be talking about how to connect to your soul this time, talking about intuition and connecting to your higher self. And then we close out with balancing your mind. So this is the second year. Next year, we'll be going into the third year. It's a lot of things that's coming down the pipeline for Sunday Communion, all the way from the online community to different classes and some retreats in the future. So I'm very excited. Probably my biggest thing that I love outside of the communion itself is the communion of community that the women are connecting on. So it's typically based off of church service because I'm a preacher's kid. So prayer, but it's my version of church. So prayer is meditation, breath work, praise and worship is like breath work and yoga and sound bowls. Then we have a sermon, and then we end with typically some type of theme, flower dynamic, DIY flower dynamic, because women, we deserve flowers in all forms. And then we end with communion, which is the fellowship of us coming together with charcuterie and wine. So that
I love that. What's one message of affirmation that has been moving you through lately?
right now, and I love that you said lately, because they shift
Right.
depending on where we're at. Right now, I am divinely provided for and protected. The universe always has my back, and everything works in my favor.
Yes.
Those are every morning. I am divinely provided for and protected. The universe always has my back, and everything works out in my favor.
I love that.
Yep. Thank you.
Y'all make sure you write it down, please.
Yeah.
And of course, like, how can folks stay in touch with you and um, uh, get some of your services? Where can we find
Um, You can find me. I'm everywhere on social media, YouTube, TikTok, all of that. The handle is Miss AJ Williams, so MISS Williams. My website is missajwilliams.com. So you can always find all my offerings, events, and things like that there. YouTube is really good for like my monthly readings, and services can be found either on Instagram or on my website. There's ways that you can get in contact with me if you're looking for sound balls or consultations, or even doing wellness programming for your business or company. Definitely hit me up.
you? Okay. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome. Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I'm cooking up something for the girls.
Cook it up. Cook it up.
Okay. And then I'm going to make sure I get you in the mix.
That's Renee.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to stop it now.